Okay, so today is our December 9th, 2020 Rules and Law meeting, and it's getting kicked off about 1:06 p.m. Looks like Chief just joined us. Can you hear us?
Oops, there he went.
Oh, there he went. Okay, so he's still working it out. Anyway, so we're going to get started on the stuff that he doesn't need to worry about. And Rob, I'll let you lead since some of these are your research.
Sure. So, yeah, starting with the ones that really don't impact Chief at all. First one I was pulling up here is the audit committee one. So, again, we have a section of the code book that creates this audit committee that's supposed to be made up of the mayor, the fiscal officer, the chair of the finance committee, and a resident appointed by the mayor and approved by council. And I checked with Bill, and the committee really doesn't exist today. We're not using it. It's not happening today. And looking at the responsibilities for the audit committee, it just, the focus is here is they should be actively involved in meeting with the village's independent auditors before and after each audit, monitoring the progress of financial and compliance audit, evaluating the results of the financial and compliance audits, and ensuring that the internal control and ledger compliance issues identified in the audit are promptly and effectively remedied. So there's 4 responsibilities essentially. And my feeling is, Tony's already heavily involved with that. And so my thinking is we just roll these responsibilities into the village fiscal officer responsibilities. And, let's just go ahead and remove the audit committee from the rule book altogether, because again, we're not doing it today. And it's just really doing those 4 things I just read through. And those are important, but Tony's already involved in that. He does that stuff already. And I did in the proposal. So again, you guys, I do this the same way every time. I put the discussion at the beginning. I put the current code book because that's how Ed has to do it when he submits it to council. And then I put a section where I have the proposed changes. And I do strike through for the parts to remove, and I highlight in yellow the new parts. And so again, in the proposed changes, I've added for Tony those 4 things, and I added a 5th, and that is at the, Chief, are you there?
I'm in here. Can you hear me?
Yay.
Okay.
Good job.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Hey, Chief, we're starting with the, since you weren't able to get in right away, we're starting with the audit committee stuff. So we're starting with something that doesn't really impact you.
Okay, great. Okay.
Okay. So again, in addition to the 4 things that the audit committee said, I added a 5th item that just says, Tony, as the fiscal officer, will provide council with the final audit report, along with a report from the fiscal officer explaining what steps are being implemented to remedy any issues identified in the audit. So I think it'd be good for council to just see the audit also, because that's something. When I came in and I was assigned the finance committee, I didn't know that those existed and things like that. And so I think it's a good way to help council see what's going on, how our books being handled and stuff like that. So those are my suggestions for the audit committee. What are you guys' thoughts?
I'm totally good with it.
I like it too. I mean, I've seen past audits. I didn't know whether or not there was a requirement to present to us, but I've received them via email. I think it would be good for, Rob, you're a financial person. My skill set is elsewhere. It's nice if the fiscal officer did actually do a short presentation to us, so that it takes me a lot longer to read over those things and make sense of them than probably somebody who does that all day at work. But that would be awesome. And I do like this idea.
Marcy, what do you think?
I already said.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bill,
right after Bill spoke, I said that
okay.
It was reasonable.
Okay.
But thanks for asking.
And so okay, so if you guys are okay with this, one other thing is I want to reach out to Tony then too. So if you guys are okay with this, then I'm going to send this to Tony and bounce it off of him and see what his thoughts are about it as well, before officially presenting it to council. So I will literally email this to him today.
Okay.
And get a chance to hear what his thoughts are on it.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and do some of the ones then that involve Chief since he's on the call?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm going to start off with the civil defense organization. So again, this is another one it's a bit antiquated. It was actually put in place in 1967 at the height of the Cold War. And it says we're supposed to have a civil defense organization within the village. And, the mayor appoints a commissioner and there's supposed to be other people involved. And it makes a reference to Ohio Revised Code. So I went in and looked at Ohio Revised Code. And in that discussion section at the top, I called out that there is a part that says of this, the code that's referenced actually creates the Ohio Department of Safety. And there's a subsection in there that says only if a I'm sorry, I'm just going to read this for the benefit of those not on the, who are watching. Only if a political division has not entered into an agreement with either a countywide emergency management agency or a regional authority for emergency management should it create a program for emergency management within that political division. So, and I checked with Chief, and he said that Mariemont does have an agreement with the Hamilton County Emergency Management Agency. So
That's
again,
correct.
yeah, we have this, or we've already working with somebody else on it. So we don't need to have our own civil defense organization. And so again, my proposal would be, in an effort to try and clean up some of the stuff in the code book, is just take it out of there, because it's not relevant to us now. And again, I think this is actually a leftover. It's a dinosaur from the 1967 times that just never got cleaned up. So
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought it would have been, when Mariemont was incorporated in 41, that was right at the very beginning of our involvement in World War II. I was surprised to find it was that recent as the 60s.
yeah.
I think I have a civil defense helmet though in my office, Rob. It's a white helmet with the blue lettering on it.
Yeah, I think you do.
Yeah, I mean, gee, I was kind of hoping, maybe I'd get to wear that one day.
Well, Memorial Day parade. Next time we have a Memorial
Yeah, we
Day
can wear it
parade,
at the parade.
Okay.
No,
No, that could be good.
yeah,
No.
perfect
I think
opportunity.
when we
It's
get
all right.
back together, again, I think you should wear it, Mayor.
Yeah, all right.
Your uniform.
Sit up on top of a dog house and we can have the Red Baron fly by. And
There you go.
Okay, so is everyone in agreement then to go ahead and take that out of the code book as well?
Yes.
I'm good.
Okay. So now I'm going to go to the stuff to do with the parking, and there was, because of this other wonderful project that was in the finance committee about overnight parking, I was going through trying to see, how this might impact, given the concerns raised by the residents. And I just came across some things that, again, just haven't been updated. Like we did the other ones where it's still referenced Kroger being where the Strand is and stuff like that. So, and again, I checked these with Chief. The first one is there's a no parking section, and it says that no parking is allowed on Murray Avenue, on the north side of Murray Avenue between Plainville and Homewood. But obviously that's where we've installed those parking pads. So clearly we are allowing parking on the north side of Murray Avenue between Plainville and Homewood. So,
Well, and there's also spaces. No, there weren't. Never mind. Sorry, I'm thinking the spaces on the south side, but yeah.
okay. And so again, clearly that should come out, in my opinion, at least.
Agreed.
And then on the other side of Murray, on the other side of Plainville, across from where the Madison Fireplace Department used to be, there used to be a sign there that says, that only the volunteers can be there, the firefighter volunteers for Madison Place. But the Madison Place Fire Department building has been closed down, and my understanding is Columbia Township's trying to redevelop that area, and there's no longer a sign there that says no parking. So I would propose taking that out as well, since that's no longer relevant to that. And I checked with Chief, and he agreed with both of those items, right, Chief? Or
That's correct, Mr. Bartlett.
okay.
Hey, Rob, I do know, though, that I'm fairly certain Columbia Township has got plans for that firehouse. I don't know, we could go ahead and take it out for now. And I guess if and when they get around and get the plans up and running and see what the parking situation is going to be over there, I guess we could just reinstitute no parking on our side of Murray if need be.
Well, yeah, I would, let's get it out. I'd prefer to get it out of there, but they may want to use that parking. Sort of, it's because, it's like, there's parking down by Green Papaya as well. It's actually on our side,
Right.
So there's
Right.
all those spots throughout there that actually are on Mariemont property.
Right.
But, again, as we try to reach out and work with our neighboring communities, I think it would be good for us to partner with whatever Columbia Township does. Let's work with them to figure out what's the best optimal parking situation, whatever goes on over there. So. Marcy, Maggie, any comments?
No, I think it's fine. Yeah, I think as plans get finalized, that's good.
Marcy, I couldn't quite hear what you said, Marcy. What was it?
I'm sorry, I got distracted by the cat tail in the middle of my screen.
I saw that go by. There goes another one.
Yeah, she's like a magnet. I sit down here, she comes and sits just off screen and distracts me. This seems, I guess, reasonable.
Okay. And then there's another section. So the next one is in chapter 29, schedule 2, about limited parking, parallel parking. And again, there's some areas here that are, the first one is the exact same area, the Plainville Road, Murray Avenue from Plainville to the southeast corner of Madison Fire Department building shall be restricted to a maximum of 4 hours per day. Those are the ones that are also across from Green Papaya and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I checked with John Sherp, and there used to be signs there, but they got taken down years ago. So there's no longer any signs there restricting the hours of the parking, and I never see any parking issues over there either. So we don't have any signage having any kind of restrictions on that. The other sections, what is it? Oh, Worcester Pike between Crystal Springs and Miami Road. So right there in front of Comey and Shepherd. Well, there are spots there now, and there's no sign there in terms of limiting that, the parking that's there in front of Comey and Shepherd, which seems to be not a problem either. And then Worcester Pike, it says here on the east side of the village square between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. daily except Sunday. And then it also says on the north, south, and west sides of the square during the hours. So between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Except Sunday. And so I went over there and was just looking at those signs, and there is no longer parking on the north side of the island in the middle of the square. So those got taken out when, to get the flow of the traffic going through there. So there's no more parking spots there. So that's no longer accurate. And there's also, the signs actually say it's a 2-hour parking limit that's in there right now for those other around the rest of the island. Is got a 2-hour parking limit. And so I just want to make sure we get that all cleared up. And it's just the east, south, and west sides of the square that are limited from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. except for Sunday to 2-hour parking. And then the last thing, it also says here, this is a weird thing. I talked to Chief and I wasn't sure what this is. It says Worcester Pike in the respective parking areas east and west of the center island. So those are those extra spots, and there are no signs there in terms of restricted parking hours for that. So we don't have any signage that stops people from parking in those areas. So that was just another one. I thought we would clean that up as well.
That sounds fine.
Hey,
Well-
Chief, I have a question for you. With respect to the areas that Rob said west and I guess he said south and east of the square that have 2-hour parking limits, is that what you said, Rob?
Mhm.
Do we even enforce that?
We do if we get a complaint on. Obviously, our officers, when somebody parks there, they're not always there to know exactly what time they parked
Right.
there. But to be honest with you, Marcy, we've had, I can't remember the last time we've had a complaint about somebody being there more than 2 hours.
Yeah.
So, I agree with Rob. It's not a problem.
Yeah. I just think that might be a hardship on business if you're going to see a movie and have dinner, you're going to be there more than 2 hours.
Well,
That's correct.
Yeah, and that's why the signs do say from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. is the 2-hour limitation.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you're there for dinner or the movie afterwards, you can go ahead and it's not enforced at that time.
Yeah, it's like midday.
Well, hey, Rob, I kind of missed what did you want to change it to?
So what it says, what I'm proposing to change it to is just, it's going to be the east, south, and west sides of the square during the hours of 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. daily, except Sunday, is 2-hour parking. So that's actually what the signs say. If you go around the square, there's signs set up there, and that's what they say. So it's just getting this consistent with that. And then removing the fact that there is no more parking on the north side of the square. Take that out altogether because that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I think those signs are already down on the north side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, there's no parking spots on the north side.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So the signs are just on the east, west, and south side. There's a sign that says limited to 2-hour parking for that. So, and then the one other one is, and this is one that is just cleaning up a little bit. So there's a section, again, this came up with the wonderful topic about the overnight parking, was the list of streets that are exempt from that. And for some reason, Murray Avenue between Plainville Road and Lane A, so on the west side of Murray, wasn't listed in those list of exempt streets, but I checked with Chief, and there's another separate section where it makes a reference to that, where, yeah, that section is exempt and is allowed to have overnight parking without a sticker. And so I just thought it would make sense to go ahead and add that in with all the other 11 streets that are called out already. So, any questions about that?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Last thing about, and this isn't parking, it's sidewalks. And, currently our code book says no person shall ride a bicycle on a sidewalk, period. And so, I know the police do a good job of trying to manage that and just, using their discretion on that. And so I went and looked, and the city of Montgomery had something I thought that might be more helpful in terms of, instead of just saying they're not allowed and then, having the situation where the police are making a call about, okay, yeah, you can, or yeah, you can't. Incorporating what's in the city of Montgomery's code book, where it says, no person shall drive any vehicle other than a bicycle or an electronic bicycle if the motor is not engaged. And we actually are seeing more of those electronic bicycles around the village. Upon a sidewalk or sidewalk area, except upon a permanent or duly authorized temporary driveway. So again, that allows bicycles or electric bicycles without the motor engaged to be on the sidewalk. And it says nothing in this section shall be construed as prohibiting local authorities from regulating the operation of bicycles or electric bicycles, except that no local authority may require that bicycles or electric bicycles be operated on sidewalks. And then the last thing is here, it says a person operating a bicycle on a sidewalk shall yield the right of way to any pedestrian and shall give audible signal before overtaking and passing such pedestrian. So I think that's one of the things, that we're trying to do is allow bikes to be on the sidewalk, especially for younger kids, but just also recognizing that they need to watch out for people walking on the sidewalk, and the people walking on the sidewalk have the right of way in those kind of situations.
So it would kind of make it just like the multi-purpose paths that are down in Terrace Park, where, there's people walking, there's people riding bikes. The people riding the bikes, if they're coming up behind them, they'll say to your left or whatever. So that's kind of what you're looking for there also, right, Rob, on the sidewalk?
Yes, correct, Chief.
So let me make sure I'm clear on this, Rob. So you want to basically make it allowed for people to ride their bikes on sidewalks anywhere in the village?
Well, yeah, because that's what, again, it's happening today, Bill. It's we say no person shall ride a bike on a sidewalk, but people do, right?
Yeah, I know they do. I know damn good and well they do, because I've been taken out more than once coming out of Starbucks carrying coffee, and here comes some jackass riding down the sidewalk, and he's not hollering out to me, here he comes or anything else. But I don't know, you're right. I mean, we have an ordinance on the books now that says You're not supposed to do that. Of course, they're doing it all the time, so I don't know what the difference is.
Well, at least.
Yeah, Mayor,
Go
what
ahead,
I
Chief.
see mostly is the people that are riding on the sidewalks, and of course over at Starbucks. That's a different situation there as far as, but on the side streets and that, mostly I see kids riding on the sidewalk. And when I talk to Rob, I mean, I don't want to see a small kid riding their bike in the street, you know. So technically, you know, the way it is now, technically you're not allowed to ride a bike on the sidewalk. But, you know, I'd rather have that, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old child riding a bike on the sidewalk rather than being in the street.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I'm just wondering if maybe we ought to exempt certain areas, especially in high pedestrian traffic areas, you know, like the promenade, you know, say starting from, you know, West Street all the way down past the Mariemont Inn through the square, something like that. I don't really think a bicycle should be on the sidewalk, you know, at the square, at the promenade. There's very high pedestrian traffic there.
The Strand area, that's what you're talking about,
I
right?
mean the Strand. I'm sorry, I meant the Strand. The Strand. Yeah, the Strand.
Well, you could qualify it to say in residential areas,
Yeah, you could do
Yeah,
it that
right.
way too.
but then that would preclude like in front of the school, I guess, because I mean, I would hate to see a kid riding their bike on Wooster Pike as opposed to sidewalk
Yeah.
in that little stretch.
I mean, when we walk to Starbucks, I have them, you know, ride from like that corner where the wardrobe is up to Starbucks and, you know, constantly yelling, make sure you don't run over that lady. But I mean, you can't have them in the street because there's parking and big
No, but
traffic.
yeah, but maybe they should be walking their bike through that area. It's just too congested a pedestrian area to have people on bikes, I think. You know, you have a lot of elderly people there like myself that can't maneuver around the bike.
I mean, we could add something in there if you wanted to for that from the, so you're saying south side, the sidewalk on the south side of Worcester Pike between West Street and
I say all the way to Miami because
Miami.
that takes in the square.
That's the north
The
side,
business,
not the south.
north
right?
side, you're right. Yes.
the
The north
business
side.
district. Yeah, right. I think that makes sense, Rob.
Okay, I can add something in here that that says no bikes on the, I'll write it in a better way than this, but no bikes on the north side on the sidewalk.
From Miami to West.
On the north side of Pike. Yeah, between West and Miami.
Correct.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
Okay.
I will add that in there as an item and I will send that back out to you guys. You can take a look at it and, you know.
Yeah.
Let me know what you think.
Sounds good.
Okay, I will make that addition. And then the final thing on the list was the swimming pool. So right now in section 95.25, we have the pool regulations all listed in here, you know, things like what size Nerf balls you're allowed to have. And, you know, where smoking is permitted and that running is not allowed. And so I checked and, you know, because there's actually, it's interesting, there's not as many, it's becoming fewer and fewer municipals who have pools anymore. And so I was able to find Blue Ash, Montgomery, and Sharonville when I did a Google search. And they're also, American Legal also maintains their code book. So I was able to go in there and do a search. And when I found the stuff about their swimming pool, there's the swimming pool rules, none of them have them in their code book. And actually reached out to the Blue Ash and the director of Parks and Recreation for them. We traded emails back and forth and he confirmed the pool rules are not in the code book. So and the thing about having these in the code book is if the pool, theoretically, if the pool wants to change the pool rules, like the size of the Nerf balls that are allowed, that would require that an ordinance has to come through council and get passed to change that pool rule. And that just strikes me as a lot of bureaucracy that doesn't need to exist.
Yeah, me too, Rob. That's just way too rigid. I mean, the pool should be able, the pool manager, the pool commission, somebody, I mean, they can talk amongst themselves as to what the rules at the pool should be, write them down and post them, and that should be that. Something like that should not be coming through council.
Right. So just so I don't know if you saw this part, Bill. So when the proposed changes, I added a section because I do, I think it's important that we reference the rules though. And so it says here, and I borrowed this from Sharon. I borrowed this from Sharonville. Some it says compliance with rules. It is further provided that all membership shall be subject to all the rules and regulations set forth by the pool manager and the pool commission, and that all members shall abide by all such rules and regulations that the pool manager shall set forth for the safety, protection, and orderly use of such facilities and members thereof. Any changes to the rules and regulations for the pool should be approved first by the pool commission, and then and I put in here, Bill, presented to the mayor, who may at his or her discretion seek the input of council before providing final input. And the reason I put that in there, Bill, is I talked to Joe about this, and because Mariemont, it's still a Mariemont facility,
Right.
So ultimate liability, I hate to say it this way, but ultimate liability still resides with Mariemont. So, Joe thought it was good to have something in there where you're still involved. So there's still a checkpoint with you to say, hey, we're going to want to make this change to this rule. And you can say, yep, no brainer. Or if you're like, wait a minute, let me check with council.
Yeah. Or Rob, I might, like you're saying too. I mean, I totally agree. It's a good idea because also I might want to check, with, Ed McTighe or Frost Brown. I mean, just to see if, everything is covered properly, that we're not exposing ourselves, to a liability.
Yeah. So that's why I put it in there, based on Joe's input, that it'd be good that they come to you. If they want to make changes, it's coming to you and just sort of getting your okay on it. But no ordinance going through council to get a change and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, totally agree.
Okay.
I think the mayor should have sovereign rule over the pool.
Do you
That's
want that, Bill?
That's an idea that's all wet.
Oh, that's bad.
No, I think the pool commission, basically, I mean, yes, they decide this kind of stuff. They work this stuff out. They can run it by me and I'm only acting as sort of that checkpoint where either I'm going to check it with Ed or I'm going to check it with council.
Right. That's all it is. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's an addition. I took out all the rules, part of this, how to run the pool and stuff like that. And I just said that reference to, you got to comply with the rules. The rules are maintained by the pool manager and pool commission with, a confirmation from the mayor. So Marcy, Maggie, you guys have
I
anything?
think that sounds fine to me. I don't see any problem with that.
Makes sense.
Okay.
I think the more stuff like that we can get out of the code book, the better.
Yeah.
I do have since I didn't realize you were going on to swimming so quickly. So also with regard to parking, I think before we submit this to council, we might look at the new rules we made where Cherry Street is, where the Waldorf school, we a couple years ago put in signs that said you could park there, but only during, basically what would be, or you cannot park there, sorry, between basically what would be the busy time for pickup and drop off at the Waldorf, just because that way the flow of traffic isn't as jammed up as it had been. And I think the way this got to be such a disaster is we were making parking changes, sometimes in council, and then sometimes I think, John and Dan, and they'd decide that something was outdated and fix it, but we didn't put it through the code book. So I want to look and make sure that we talk correctly about what's going on Cherry Street with those restricted parking hours. Because it seems like it would live in this restricted paragraph. And I'm trying to find it right now. I didn't see it. Got your document up. It says in restricted parking, like Chestnut, doesn't say anything about Cherry.
I didn't take, so I didn't take the whole part in. I just took the part
Okay.
that we changed.
All right.
So, if you want, I'll be happy to check on that,
If you don't mind, just because if we're going to codify, we should make sure, since that's one of them.
Yep. I will go look and see what's in the code book about Cherry Street in terms of.
Okay. And it is, I don't know how this is categorized because now that I'm looking at this, it's not mutually exclusive. It is restricted and it is also parallel parking. So I don't know where it would live.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, the parallel parking is sort of, I'll be honest with you, it's sort of a weird one to me. I don't know why we, every street's parallel parking the most. The only place I can think of that's
Right.
not parallel parking are the parking pads, which are going to get changed, and the Strand.
Yeah.
And I guess the square, right around the square, that's not parallel either. So, but
Right.
almost everything else. So this is a weird section. I don't know why that's all in there.
And maybe we just reference something. I mean, this could be a good time to talk about that too. Like, since I don't exactly know, I don't have anything sitting at the top of my head, like how we would word it, but maybe like just to asterisk the restricted parking, that some of this restricted parking is also parallel parking. I don't even know how you.
Well, they're all in the same section, they're all the same chapter. They're all in chapter 79.
Yeah, it's just B and C. It's almost like you could fold them in together.
Yeah. The C part, that's when I talked to Chief. It's like, it's just that whole section C about parallel parking seems a little odd.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally fine with however you want to handle it. It's just code books are hard enough to read without adding complexity.
But that's the funny thing is right now, there isn't parallel parking on Murray between Lane A and Plainville. We've got the 45-degree parking pads.
Right.
But that'll get fixed once we have the new path go in, so.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll follow up. I'll talk to Chief to see what, Chief, you and I maybe can touch base and talk through if we want to continue to have that section C or not with parallel parking.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, and then we can come back to you guys with anything on that then.
Okay, like for now though, based on the changes we made, Rob, do you want to go ahead and I'll put these in the report and send them through for our next council meeting?
Yeah,
Okay.
if we can.
Let me just get this done. And if you figure out what's up with Cherry,
Mhm.
it's just to correct what's in there. All we did was change the hours.
Hey, listen too, guys. I think there might be restricted parking on West Street between Madisonville Road and Thorndike. Because that little area there between the two condominiums. Didn't we put some restricted parking? Some hours, I mean. You can't park there during school hours or something.
Yeah.
You know where I'm talking?
Yeah.
Wait, say it again. On Madisonville Road.
No, it's
No.
on West Street.
Oh,
On
yes.
West-
We made one side no parking.
Yeah.
We did, but did we put hours on that? Is there hours on that?
I do not remember.
You mean right across from the school?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's sort of across from the school. Yeah, there's a crosswalk there, and there's a crossing guard there in the morning.
Right.
I'm
And I
not
think
sure.
what we did was we made it like it had been okay to park on one side and not the other. And we realized how ridiculous that was and switched it because it would have been the way it was set up was the more dangerous scenario for kids walking.
Yeah.
So we switched the side. But I don't recall if we made hours. I mean, it would be in the code. Well,
Yeah, I
maybe
get to be
not.
a Toda.
I thought we did, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I thought we put hours on it too. I drive through there like every morning, and I can't remember.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Okay.
easy to check.
Yep. Okay. So there's 3 follow-ups then is what I've captured so far. Cherry Street, the section C here and about parallel parking, and then West Street between Madison Road and Thorndike.
Mhm.
Okay. Got it. Captured them.
Okay.
Worked out. Find out what the scoop is on that stuff. And like I said, I'm happy to work with Chief on that too.
Sounds good.
Okay, that's it for me.
All right.
Great. I've got nothing else.
All right.
Okie dokie. Well, like I said, the other thing is I'll send Tony right now the fiscal officer stuff and the audit committee and get, just make sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about the computer problems on my end. We're working through this new here.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay.
Okay, well, thanks, everybody. We'll end at 1:41.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, everybody, take care.
All right. See you guys.
All right. Good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.